A long time ago, Lucifer tried to overthrow God but was defeated and sent out of heaven into hell. Archangel Michael then chained him to a big rock and left his sword there as the seal. Before Michael left, Lucifer promised he would return as God's equal. Over the years, Lucifer pulled together a group of demons to plan his revenge. His followers built a house around the hole he fell through, waiting for his return. It's now 2022, and an art historian named Laura is studying in Italy. She wants to write about how a famous Italian artist didn't really believe in angels and demons, as shown in their art. However, her professor disagrees with her thesis because it might offend Italian history. To make things even more uncomfortable, her professor suggests they discuss her thesis at his apartment, which makes Laura feel uneasy, and she leaves quickly to avoid him. Soon after, she meets Father Marconi, who offers her a special pass that allows her to enter all the exhibits in his cathedral, including a new display featuring the Shroud of Turin, which is said to contain Jesus' blood from when he was crucified. Father Marconi gives Laura a thorough tour, and after they view the shroud, he shows her a divine statue of Michael defeating Lucifer. They talk about the nature of evil for some time, and then Marconi leaves Laura alone to sketch the statue for her thesis. While drawing, Laura thinks she hears someone calling her name, but sees no one and thinks it might just be her imagination playing tricks on her. A few hours later, as the exhibition is about to close, a raven flies around the building and lands at the entrance, transforming into a woman named Liz who joins the last group of visitors. Instead of following the tour guide, she slips through a door that's off-limits, unnoticed by a security guard watching the cameras. Liz moves silently down the corridor lined with statues while watching Laura sketching from a distance. Laura stops in surprise when she sees the head of Lucifer's statue move. Feeling uneasy, she checks around her and is startled by a raven at the window. While Laura is distracted by the bird, Liz steals Michael's sword from the statue and leaves. As Laura returns to the statue, a guard approaches her to ensure she leaves because the area is being secured for closing. He asks for her badge and then departs. Before leaving, Laura notices something is different about Michael's statue, but can't quite figure out what it is. As she heads to the front door and finds it locked, she searches for another way out. When she returns to the corridor, she is horrified to see Liz using the sword to kill the guard and take his head. Scared, Laura runs and hides in a confessional booth, which gives her a view of Liz disabling the alarms using the guard's eyes. Liz then breaks the glass protecting the Shroud of Turin with the sword and steals the relic. Marconi hears the disturbance and rushes over to intervene, but Liz stabs him. Soon after, Liz's accomplices arrive to help her secure the shroud. As they prepare to leave, Liz spots Laura hiding in the confessional booth and orders her men to capture her. After they exit the room, Marconi, with his dying breath, prays for help and asks Michael to use his body to stop Lucifer's plans. Immediately, Michael descends from heaven and inhabits Marconi's body, chasing after Liz and her group as they drive away. Using his angelic powers, Michael is able to run incredibly fast, but the physical limitations of the human body can't handle his powers without causing damage, so he is forced to stop. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a group of wealthy individuals watches a child prodigy skillfully play the violin. After the performance, Dr. Loron reveals that the child is a clone of Antonio Vivaldi, part of a series of clones his company has created from DNA taken from the graves of historical figures. These cloned children are then auctioned off to wealthy parents, with today's auction featuring a clone of Michelangelo. During the event, Liz arrives to inform Loron that they have successfully obtained the Shroud of Turin. Soon after, the group arrives at Lucifer's villa. Loron is thrilled about acquiring the shroud because it gives him the opportunity to clone Jesus. Meanwhile, Laura is locked inside a glass cell along with Brenda and two other women. One of the women is distressed, crying and yelling, but Laura manages to soothe her using gentle words. Laura believes that if they work together, they might find a way out. However, before any plans can be made, a group of nurses enters the cell to check her vitals. Meanwhile, Michael returns to the cathedral and discovers that other priests are reviewing the security footage. They are astonished to see Marconi, whom they thought was dead, but Michael offers no explanation. Instead, he inquires about those responsible for guarding the shroud. The priests tell him that Cardinal Vincini was in charge of its protection but began to act erratically, speaking of demonic beasts and secret cults, which led others to believe he was suffering from dementia. Michael is frustrated that the priests do not take the biblical references to supernatural entities seriously. He finds out that Vincini is now living as a recluse in an asylum. Michael then takes the security tapes, shows Laura's past to the priests to ask about her, and extracts a promise from them to keep his visit a secret. After that, Michael drives away in Marconi's car, taking some painkillers he finds in the glove compartment to ease the pain his powers are causing. Unbeknownst to him, a raven is following him. Meanwhile, the scientists at the villa are busy trying to extract Jesus' DNA from the shroud. Michael reaches the asylum and finds Vincini, who is cautious and holding a weapon. When Vincini touches Michael, he realizes immediately that Michael is not just a priest and believes him when he claims to be an angel. Vincini is aware of Liz's actions and shows Michael the villa built over the entrance to hell, explaining that the asylum was established as a watchpoint. He mentions that according to the scriptures, Lucifer will return someday and will need two ancient creatures that belong to both worlds. One of them is a woman, referring to Liz, and the other is called the beast of the ground. Over the years, Lucifer's followers have been bringing him children for him to possess, but their bodies weren't strong enough to hold him. That's why they took the shroud. They planned to clone Jesus because his body is the only one strong enough for Lucifer to inhabit. Michael is horrified by this and vows to stop them. Vincini then drives Michael to the base of the mountain where the villa is located. Being near the villa makes Michael's sword react, allowing Lucifer to start pulling his chain to break free from the seal. At the villa, the women try to figure out how to escape from their chains and share personal stories, revealing that Laura has lost her husband and child. Lauren runs tests and finds that Laura is completely compatible, prompting Liz to speed up the cloning process. When nurses return to take the women, they try to fight back with their chains, but more nurses come and overpower them, taking Brenda and Laura to the surgery room. There, doctors implant eggs fertilized with Jesus' DNA into the women, and Liz introduces herself to Laura as an angel of the Lord, saying she was inspired by Laura's cathedral sketches of Lucifer. Meanwhile, Vincini drops Michael off at a secret cave entrance leading to the villa and shoots a raven that has been following them, then hands his weapon to Michael, who starts his way through the cave. Soon after, Laura and Brenda are dressed as brides and presented to a gathering of Lucifer's followers, where they are chained to a pillar. Then, the beast of the ground arrives, puts them in a giant bird cage, and lowers it into the well that leads to hell. Suddenly, demons surround the cage, holding the women down as Lucifer transforms into a pure essence and enters Brenda through her mouth. Brenda struggles briefly, but ultimately succumbs and dies. After Lucifer leaves Brenda's body, he enters Laura's body. Laura manages to survive the possession without any issues. She then walks outside in a confused state, and Liz introduces her as the chosen one before moving her to a new glass cell with a bed and a vital sign monitor. When Laura asks what's inside her, Liz claims it's a better version of Jesus. Meanwhile, Michael reaches a door in the cave tunnel and shoots it open to get into the villa. The guards quickly spot him, and when Michael can't use his weapon, he gets shot twice in the chest, but his angelic powers absorbs the bullets. He fights back, knocking out the guards and steals a uniform to blend in. He finds the lab, retrieves the shroud, and checks the security cameras to locate Laura. Just then, Lauren walks into the lab. Michael pushes him against a table demanding answers, to which Lauren says he's working for a new beginning. Michael then opens gas canisters and uses a flare to ignite a fire in the lab, creating a barrier against the approaching guards. As the fire alarm rings throughout the building, Laura begs a nurse to release her, but he refuses. Suddenly, Michael arrives and knocks out the nurse. Laura hugs him, mistakenly thinking he is Marconi. However, Michael is distracted as Lucifer starts talking to him telepathically, mocking his freedom. Confused and angry about how his seal was broken, Laura mistakenly thinks Michael is an enemy and runs away. Michael catches her quickly and pulls her into a room for safety. Laura then takes Michael's gun and points it at him, but he reassures her of his intentions while attending to his gunshot wound. Laura shares what was done to her, prompting Michael to take her with him for protection. When Liz sees them escaping, she orders her men to follow but shoots a guard who nearly harms Laura, as Laura must remain unharmed. Michael and Laura attempt to flee through the cave tunnel, but the rapidly growing baby makes Laura feel sick, slowing them down. The beast catches up and fights Michael. Initially, Michael holds his own, but his human body weakens, and the beast overpowers him. Liz and her men recapture Laura, who warns them against harming the priest if they don't want to hurt the baby. However, Liz tells her that the priest is already dead and she needs to kill the angel too. Laura is taken back to her cell and tied to the bed, while Michael is chained in the room with the well. Using his powers, Michael breaks the chains and frees himself, but it leaves him very weak. Dragging himself across the ground, he reaches the well and jumps into it just as the beast nearly catches him. Upon landing in hell, Michael is attacked by a demon, but he quickly pushes it away. He looks for his sword but is shocked to find it missing. More demons appear and use Lucifer's sword to chain Michael, just as he had once chained Lucifer. Meanwhile, the baby inside Laura grows at a supernatural speed. Liz tells Laura that this baby will replace the one she lost, but Laura refuses to accept them as the same. During an ultrasound, Laura is startled by the image of the baby appearing to crawl out and roar at her. But she then wakes up and realizes it was just a dream. She sees Liz sitting next to her, who asks if Lucifer speaks to her. When Laura doesn't respond, Liz tells her a story about Lucifer's battle against the tyrant known as God. Laura expresses disinterest, prompting Liz to slap her. Liz says she will free Laura after she gives birth, but demands respect until then. Meanwhile, a group of children discover Michael chained to the rock in hell. These children are the failed sacrifices who have banded together to survive. Michael promises to take them home if they can find his sword, but the children are hesitant to trust another angel, remembering that Lucifer was once an angel too. Their conversation is cut short when demons attack, and while the children flee, some are captured, leaving Michael helplessly watching. Back in the cell, Lucifer's essence temporarily leaves the baby and enters Laura's mind through her ear, offering her a deal she finds hard to refuse. If Laura accepts him, Lucifer will help her get revenge on the man who killed her family and also on Liz, whom Laura despises. Laura agrees, lies down, and accepts Lucifer into the baby, dreaming of holding and bonding with the child. Liz observes this and starts to worry that Laura might become too powerful. Later, while a nurse is running some tests, Laura uses her newfound powers to turn off the lights and kill the nurse. She then leaves the room and encounters another nurse, whom she starts beating and kicking until he dies. Shocked by her actions, Laura breaks free from Lucifer's influence and decides she needs to end the baby's life before things worsen. Ignoring Lucifer's pleas and his calling her mother, Laura runs into a janitorial closet while being pursued by guards. She locks herself in, grabs a bottle of chlorine, and fights Lucifer's control to drink it. Laura starts vomiting and writhing in pain, and just then, Liz breaks down the door, scolding Laura for harming the baby. As Liz is about to leave to find a doctor, Laura uses her powers to slam the door shut and knock Liz down, vomiting on her face. This act is driven by Lucifer, who is now controlling Laura's actions as a way to punish Liz for her mistakes. Liz expresses regret that she wasn't the one to carry the baby, but Lucifer ignores her and gives new orders. After the birth, no one must know what happened, so everyone must die, including Laura, because of her bond with the baby. Then, Lauron enters and Lucifer, controlling Laura, attacks him as he tries to get help for the chlorine poisoning. Shortly after, Laura's body is placed in a healing pod. Lucifer temporarily leaves her body to possess a demon in hell and taunts Michael about his failures, which the children witness, confirming their belief that Michael is good. After Lucifer departs, Michael finally understands why God is letting these events unfold, and the children decide to help him. They aren't able to remove the demon's sword from the chains, so they search for Michael's sword instead. They find it in the rubble, but just as they are about to hand it to Michael, demons arrive offering the children freedom. The children hesitate for a moment but then remember the truth they've learned and give the sword to Michael. He briefly regains his full angelic form and defeats the demons. After promising to return for the children soon, Michael goes back to Earth in Marconi's body, retrieves the shroud, and enters the main building. He knocks down a guard and takes a weapon to check on Laura, only to hear Lucifer responding through her. In an urgent attempt to help, Michael moves the pod into another room, but a nurse notices. After locking the door, Michael opens the pod and tries to tell Laura that the baby isn't what she thinks it is. However, Lucifer, controlling Laura, pushes him away with a loud roar. Then, Lucifer makes Laura stand over Michael and announces that her water has broken, releasing fluid that burns Michael. Michael tries to escape, but Lucifer holds him down on Laura's lap and demands to be worshipped. When Michael refuses, Lucifer uses Laura's fingers to stab his neck. Despite the attack, Michael shares a revelation. God is allowing this because if Lucifer merges with Jesus' holy body, Jesus will control and imprison him forever. Lucifer is enraged by this and knocks Michael unconscious. When Liz arrives with guards, Lucifer orders her to kill the baby, but Liz thinks Laura is speaking and directs the guards to take her to the altar. On top of the well leading to hell, Laura gives birth and asks for her baby, but Liz quickly takes the baby away, leaving Laura behind. The beast then opens the well, making her fall. Liz introduces the new savior to Lucifer's followers, declaring he will be baptized with blood, not water. Then, the beast kills every follower, doctor, and guard. Lauron is relieved to be alive but is also killed by the beast after kissing the baby's head. Meanwhile, Michael regains consciousness and breaks a window with his weapon to escape the room. He finds Laura hanging on the edge of the well and helps her up. They then chase after Liz, who is trying to escape with the baby in a car. Laura attacks Liz and reaches for the child. Liz pleads for no harm to Lucifer, but Michael explains the baby isn't Lucifer. Michael reveals that it was God, not the devil, who chose Laura, and the child she bore will be Lucifer's eternal prison. Laura takes the baby and leaves to find Vincini, while Michael stays to deal with the open gates of hell. He rushes to close the well, but the beast attacks him and tries to reopen it. Michael finds explosives Liz planned to use to destroy evidence and activates them, causing an explosion that collapses the facility and seals the hole with debris. Later, Vincini takes Laura and the baby to the cathedral to return the shroud, and Michael returns to hell to free the children as promised. Over the years, Laura lives with Vincini in the asylum to protect the child, who grows up healthy. One day, Liz, hiding in the forest, tries to summon Lucifer, but when he tries to escape, the child simply absorbs him back into his body, keeping him sealed. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.